we have that through the help of meditation, through the help of meditative placement. Meditative placement is where we observe without jumping to a conclusion, without immediately appraising, without coming to an inference. We allow things to exist unto themselves. I have a phone going off. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to answer it and we'll return in a moment. Okay, sorry for the interruption. We are talking about meditative placement and its capacity to create a psychological distance on mental events, where the mental event is indeed allowed to trigger and to have activity, however we do not respond to it. Let me talk about what some of the elements in meditative placement. A meditative practice is not equivalent to meditative placement. And in meditative practice, we achieve meditative placement from time to time, but we slip out of it and then we work to come back into it. And meditative placement is characterized by being in the eternal present. Number one, we remain present. Secondly, we emphasize or remain in our senses rather than in our minds conceptualizing. So we're in the present moment, that is an eternal present, as we all are always, folks. Many of you are well aware of that, I'm sure. We emphasize the sensory awareness. That means we're not jumping to conclusions. We're not making inferences. We're not thinking about what we're going to eat for dinner. We're not in the past. We're not in the future. Thirdly, we are in the unknowingness of the moment. That means we are interrupting, jumping to conclusions forming from schemas. That is, that we are not allowing ourselves to make an affirmation, an inference. We are stopping that process. And we are not manipulating our minds. We are facing up to the fact that we do not know. We don't know. You might argue, well, what do you mean we don't know? We have science. I like to think I know myself. We can know ourselves as much as concepts, and that is not the self. So, folks, again, if our brain has 300 billion neurons. It has 100 trillion neural connections. We do not know what this is. It is a manifestation of an infinite intelligence. It is a higher power that is beyond us. It is inclusive of us. However, it is also beyond us. We are participating in something greater that is alive, and it is active. Its activity is ourself. This is an important, remember about that attribution error of personalizing. We like to think that we are moving our hands and we are in charge of that. However, it may well be true, but it's conditionally true. There's something behind it that is allowing us to even think that we are moving. And it's very much like giving birth. I mean, when we were born, it was not the ego that we never thought we gave birth to ourselves. It was something much greater than ourselves. That same force is active in our lives now. It is speaking to you right now, and that is the nature of our circumstances. So I bring this in the context of unknowingness, and I bring this in the context of refraining from the attribution error of believing that we know something. And indeed, it's fine that we do know something. We've all studied a long time, been around for a while, and we certainly need that knowledge. But it is not consistent with meditative placement. Meditative placement is an inquiry. When you do apprehend what you're after, it will not occur through a concept. You will, in fact, gather information from a direct experience, and that experience is being other than yourself. It's being in a state that is much more inclusive than the limitations of the psychophysical organism. Okay, so again, remaining in the eternal present, sticking to the senses, come to your senses, and lastly, facing the unknowingness of our circumstances. I do want to bring in another point, and that is that there is a fear of perishing when we enter meditative placement. I say this from my own experience. It is uncomfortable at first to not be talking to yourself, not self-soothing with thoughts, coming to conclusions about what you should or should not do. It's difficult to let go of that. However, that is the challenge. And we need to recognize that we do not perish when the ego stops functioning. In other words, during deep sleep, for example, when it's dreamless, our body is continuing to function, and we're quite well. We're being taken care of. I would suggest to you that, in fact, there's activity through the error of self-referencing, this personalizing. We do not recognize that there are other connecting phenomena that are functioning. We tend to think that we lift our hand and reach and grab something, that it's our activity, but there are other factors connecting us. For example, a synchronicity, which is a Jungian concept, where in a sense we resonate with certain people, places, and activities, and we end up connected with them through a non-causal, if you will, connectivity that exists in the universe, a singularity that underlines all the diversity of creation. So, not to lose you in this sort of metaphysical conversation, I do want to bring it back and keep this as practical as possible. We're talking about monitoring and seeing a mental event and not getting hooked up like a fish on a hook with a triggered schema of an emotional wound, for example, abandonment, defectiveness. We have that with the cultivation of meditative placement. And I'm going to just for one moment enter meditative placement for just a moment. As you take a look at it, you'll probably see I won't be talking, but I'm going to be doing certain movements with my mind, certain activities, and I'm just going to do it for a moment or two. And I'm back. What I did was I accepted you, I accepted the circumstances completely. Completely. It's so much that I did not have to think about you.